Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I really hope you're all well and welcome back to another reading vlog. I know, what is going on? This is the second one I filmed recently. Wild and crazy times. This also means you get to stare at my makeup free face for an extended period of time, so I'm sorry. And also but today I wanted to vlog because I am going to be reading a book I'm so excited to read, and this is a book which has often been described as the most scary book ever published. Now, I am a little bit dubious about that because, or a little bit skeptical about that, because I know a few people who have read it and who have said that it's really actually not that scary. But I guess what you find scary is pretty subjective, so I guess for some people this may be absolutely horrifying. But this book is House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. And this book is basically, I think, a haunted house type book, but it's all done through kind of like found items and mixed media and things like that. So it follows the story of somebody who finds this journal which has been kept by a guy who has been recording what happened to a family in a haunted house, and it's all kind of like his notes and his investigation, but it's really interesting because of the way it's put together. So when this was first published, it was actually published in dribs and drabs on the internet, and they'd maybe release like a chapter or one of the mixed media pieces or a photo, and people had to read it that way. And then they first decided to bind it together and make it a book by literally printing out everything they put online and sending it for publication, basically. So I'm really intrigued. Now, I've got the black and white copy. I did really want the colour copy, but it was like, the colour copy was sold out on Amazon, and then there was a special edition which was like £87, and I was like, I'm not paying that amount for a book. But I'm just going to flip through and show you what I mean by how it's kind of laid out. I think it's going to be quite a challenging read from how it's laid out as well. Like, it's not a very straightforward like linear read, so I am curious. I'm a little bit intimidated by it, but I'm really excited to get stuck in. So this is the book. I have my bookmark ready to go. But this is kind of like how it's all laid out. I just think it's really interesting. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous, but very excited to get stuck in, and that is what I'm going to do today. I'm not obviously going to try and read the whole book today. I don't know how long this reading vlog is going to last for. It might be a day, it might be 2 days, it might be a week. I've got a very busy work week coming up, so I don't know how much reading I'm going to fit in during the week, but we shall see. Yeah, I'm excited. So I'm going to go downstairs, make myself a drink, sit on the sofa and get stuck in. Okay guys, this is really interesting. I've just got to kind of the end of the introduction, and they've already said that the evidence for this haunting is fiction. Like, the guy who wrote it was creating like a fake documentary or something. So I'm wondering, are they going to set it up so that like you think it's fake and then it's not? Maybe that's going to be like a twist. Or maybe it's going to be fake, but then the things that happen to the guy that's like found this journal thing. I don't know, I'm really intrigued. It's actually, the writing's a lot more accessible than I thought it was going to be. My friend who's read it said that it was quite a slow read. So I don't know, maybe it will be, maybe it'll slow down, but currently I'm finding the writing quite accessible, quite easy to get through. So I think I'm going to read for another hour, and then I really need to clean my room, and I've got some university stuff that I need to do, so I'm going to kind of crack on with those after I've read this for an hour. But yeah, I'm going to crack back on. I will check in with you guys in an hour, see what I think. Yeah. Okay, so one really interesting thing that I've noticed is anytime the word house is typed, it's featured like below the line, if that makes sense. And this has happened like every single time it says the word house. Like, there's another example here. I don't know if this is going to mean anything. I almost want to go through and like highlight every time the word house is mentioned, just so I can see if it does mean anything, but then at the same time I don't want to wreck the book. But yeah, I'm really intrigued so far. I'm really intrigued. This now reads like almost like a textbook, so I think this is where I might be a little bit slower to get through. But yeah, it's definitely intrigued me. And like, there's a little bit of an unsettling passage here where they're talking about like the first time this house appears on screen. And the guy who lives there apparently is like demonstrating how there's this like weird hallway that doesn't make sense, and it is just really unsettling. It's very well done so far. Very well done. Okay guys, it's like, I don't know, 10 p.m. and I've been reading off and on a lot today, and I'm on page 46, which, and I'm a quick reader, so that probably just goes to show how heavy going this book is, and it's literally like 700 pages. I think the reason why it's taken me so long to get through is it reads like a textbook, and at the moment it's not that it doesn't make sense, but I almost feel like it's trying to be too intelligent, and there's bits that are compelling. So far there's bits, so it's written like, say, like a textbook, and then there's like footnotes within the textbook that the person who supposedly found the document has like added his thoughts and notes and stuff to. They're the most kind of engaging thing at the moment, and definitely like the easiest bits to read. And then there's various elements of the actual book itself, or the document that he's found, that are engaging, and that's like when it's talking about the house and what's going on in the house. But then it goes off on a tangent, so at the minute it's kind of said like it's impossible to appreciate the importance of space in the Navidson record without first taking into account the significance of echoes. However, before even beginning a cursory examination of their literal and thematic presence in the film, echoes reverberating within the word itself need to be distinguished. So they've now gone on to discuss in great length the concept of echoes, and like literally we've gone through Greek mythology. We're about to embrace physics, I believe. My brain is just like, am I intelligent enough for this book? I feel stupid reading this. I don't like feeling stupid. I know I'm not the world's most intelligent human being, but I also know I'm not stupid, and this book is making me feel stupid. However, I am going to continue with it because a lot of people do enjoy it, so I think maybe like once you get through these kind of sections, like the actual narrative itself will hopefully make up for it. I don't know, but yeah, it's an interesting read. It's unlike anything I've read before, I think, at this point anyway. Hey guys, okay, so it's the next day, although you'd be forgiven for thinking that it is the same day, because yes, I am wearing the same clothes. I'm on page 97, and I'm really intrigued by this book. I feel like the appendices are going to take up the majority of the book, to be honest. The narrative's starting to get a little bit more interesting, but it is still like a I guess like a criticism on a film. Like, that's how it's reading. But then the footnotes are really like odd. Like, I can't really put it into words. Like, I couldn't tell you what is happening properly in the book. But it's almost like what the guy who's writing the footnotes is experiencing is like almost like a parody of what's happening in the text that he's reading and editing and trying to make sense of, or whatever. And yeah, it's so interesting. That's the only way I can describe it. It's really weird. I've not had like a reading experience like this before. But yeah, I'm this far the way through, and I'm looking forward to getting further into it today, but I actually have some work I've got to do now. I've been working all day, but I need to do some website work now. Fun times, and a little bit of uni work, and then I can settle to like read and watch some Vampire Diaries and colour in my adult colouring book, which is my evening plans. But yeah, I don't know, I'm really loving it. It's not quite on the same level as like Night Film for me in terms of like how hooked I am. That's the other book I feel like I can compare it to. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I feel like I'm not really talking very concisely about this yet, but I'm enjoying it, but I don't have any like concrete thoughts on it. It's very strange. Anyway, yeah. Hey guys, okay, so having a crazy busy work day today, so I haven't been able to do too much reading yet. I'm hoping to do some more this evening, but I've just had a bath and I'm very warm, which is why I'm looking a little bit flushed. But I've probably read another 5 pages. Honestly, this book is so slow to read, but it's really interesting. So my current kind of theory, I don't think it's one of those books where you're necessarily going to guess what the plot is. I don't actually think you could guess what the plot is or where it's going. I mean, I certainly have no clue. But the main thing that I've drawn from it right now, there's a group of people who have gone to explore this labyrinth or maze situation that has occurred. I'm trying to keep this spoiler free just in case any of you guys want to read it. And it's really interesting because while the actual core narrative is about this experience that these people are having, it almost draws you in, not because the narrative is so compelling, but because reading the book also feels a little bit like being in a labyrinth. Okay, so for example, I'm going to show you some pages now. The reading experience is not very linear. So this is like, sorry, excuse my foot in the corner of the shot there. So you have like 2 sections of narrative here. This is a section of footnotes that's been carried over. This is this section reflected, and then you read this section and it's reflected on the next page. This is a random like upside down section of footnotes. So it's almost like as you're trying to read the book, you're in some kind of weird labyrinth that's not making sense either, and these footnotes are appearing all over the place and they take you down like another hole, another random kind of tangent. Very, very interesting. Basically the way the book is laid out almost reflects what's happening in the narrative, because at the beginning, before this labyrinth is introduced, it's far more linear. Do you see what I mean? So interesting, like very, very cleverly done. And then I feel like the real terror perhaps is actually in what's going on with the footnotes from the guy who has found the manuscript, essentially. So yeah, I'm very, very interested to carry on. I'm looking forward to like the pages like this where there's not a huge amount of text to get through. I think this is where I'm going to start being able to read it quickly, and like, I mean, okay. And I'm looking forward to kind of getting stuck into the appendices a little bit and to see if they help kind of make sense of what I'm reading. It's ultimately the strangest reading experience I think I've ever had in my life so far, but it is weirdly compelling, and I feel like if I have to do a dissertation for my degree, I'd almost be tempted to do it on this, because I just find the concept of it so interesting. I'm still trying to read this, by the way. I've literally got no further than I did in my reading vlog the other day, but that's what that random bit of thread was in the corner of my shot, so I thought I'd show you. But yeah, I'm going to try and read more of this later. I have a lot of work to do and some university stuff to do now, so I'm going to go and jump on that, and then hoping that it gives me a good chunk of time with this evening so I can get a bit further through it. I'd like to try and finish this before the end of the week. It's currently Tuesday and I'm only that far through, so I don't know if that's going to be realistic. I might actually pick up like a contemporary or something to read alongside this, just to kind of give my brain a break when it's getting a little bit too heavy. But yeah, very, very interesting concept. Very, very interesting. How many times can I say that in one clip? I don't know. We'll see. Hey guys, okay, it's Saturday and I'm back on with reading. I think I mentioned earlier on in the vlog that I have signed on a new client for work this week. So this week work has been insane, and I've basically got no real reading done in comparison to what I would normally do during the week. I don't think it helps that I'm reading House of Leaves as well. I think if I was reading like some shorter novels, I would have got through a lot more. But I'm just short of 3/4 of the way through. And I've completely failed at updating you guys just because I haven't really had a huge amount more to talk about. Like, honestly, this is the weirdest book I've ever read in my life. I still don't know if I'm enjoying it. Like, it's not scary. It's been like a tiny bit unsettling in places, but honestly, more than anything, like, I've not been bored, but I've just been kind of like, okay, like, let's get to the point. I spoke to my friend a couple of days ago who's read it as well, and she said the same thing as me with regards to the layout. That, you know, it's really interesting to read because the layout is so quirky, and I guess the layout is meant to mimic what is going on in the story. So for example, there was like a section where they were going from the house into this like labyrinth situation, and because they were going down, the text was like at the top of the page, then it was at the middle of the page, then it was at the bottom of the page, things like that. Like, it's clever the way it's been laid out, and it does, I guess it's designed to immerse you in the narrative a little bit more, because you're supposed to be feeling as though you're in this labyrinth too. But it just, I don't know, it's just not doing it for me, you guys. Like, I'm determined to finish it this weekend. To be honest, I want to finish it today if I can. I feel like that might be a little bit ambitious. I don't know, but I'm going to go and take my book to my favourite window seat now and sit and read for a little bit and see how much I can get through. And I'll keep updating you. I'm going to take my camera with me. I will keep updating you like as I get further through it and see if things like get any more interesting. But right now, like, I'm not hating it, but I'm not loving it either. So you guys, I should be using my time this evening to do my university assignment and get some videos uploaded, but instead I'm trying to finish it because I have like 100 pages left to go. And honestly, I still don't really know what has happened in this book or what is happening in this book. It's very confusing, so I'm actually going to watch some House of Leaves explanation videos on YouTube too, and what I'll do is I'll try and leave them linked in the description so you can go and see people probably sum this book up better than I have done so far in this vlog. Once I've finished it, I will give you kind of my thoughts, and not like a full review because I just at this point don't know if it's a book I can review, but I will give you my thoughts upon finishing the most scary book ever published. Yeah, it's a wild ride at least. And then I'm going to read a Penelope Douglas, and I can't bloody wait to get stuck into some smutty taboo romance, to be honest. So anyway, okay, I'm done. I haven't yet watched the videos, but I'm done. I just finished it. Okay, so honestly I don't even know what I'm gonna rate this yet. I think because I just didn't really rate the reading experience and it didn't hook me, I'll probably give it a 3-star or like a 3.5, 3.5. Like, it was good, but it just wasn't what I expected at all. So what I thought going into it was that I was going to read a horror. I thought I was going to be scared. I knew that it was difficult to read in terms of the way that it was laid out, but I thought I was actually going to be frightened. What I didn't expect was to essentially feel like I was reading a textbook, and not one that was particularly compelling to read either. There was like certain points of it that were like, there were certain bits that I genuinely did really like, but like for the most part it just felt like a chore to get through. I still don't really know what the kind of overall plot was. I don't know if it was a guy's gradual descent into madness. I don't know if you were supposed to feel like you were within this labyrinth yourself and never getting out, and every time things started to make sense they changed and didn't, and that was reflected in the writing. Like, I'm just not sure. I kind of feel like actually that is probably it, like, because the way that the book is formatted, as I think I showed you earlier in the video, it kind of reflects what's happening in the plot, and you're kind of you're reading within a labyrinth almost. And I think maybe it is just supposed to feel like this endless kind of like descent into something that is just incoherent and doesn't make sense. Yeah, it was a weird one. I've never read anything like it. I don't think I will ever read anything like it again. I certainly won't read it again unless I have to study it. That was a week of my life that I'm never going to get back, you know, but I don't regret reading it. It was just puzzling, I think, to say the least. But anyway, I'm going to go and watch these videos now and see what other people made of it, and then I will come back after I've watched these to report back and see if they agreed with the points that I've just made, or if I've missed something like blatantly obvious, and then I'll close out the vlog. Okay guys, it's a little bit later now. I've watched a few videos and I've actually been quite comforted in that I haven't like missed something important, but it has, like, I've been thinking and thinking and thinking about this book more and more since I last like spoke to the camera. And while it isn't, I think the thing is, like, where I went into it expecting something that is scary in like the traditional sense, so like, I don't know, the reaction that I had to The Shining, for example, which I think is the scariest book personally that I've ever read, in terms of like, I had to sleep with the light on and I was really frightened. So I think like I went into it expecting it to be like that, and obviously that's not it. It is more of like a psychological thing. And one of those videos was giving like a spoiler-free kind of analysis of it, and it was just interesting because they made me realise exactly what I have just read and why it's scary. And essentially it's a novel about a guy writing a journal about a man who's written a critical analysis of a film by a guy who's bought a house. Like, that sounds so stupid when I say it. I'll link to the video below because he does a much better job of it. But the creepy thing about it is that the guy who's writing the journal about the guy who's written the book, is blind, for one, and he's writing about a film that's never existed. yet his death, which isn't a spoiler because it happens literally within like the first few pages, his death reflects stuff that could feasibly have happened in the film, and his house reflects what he's writing about. So it's just that layer of like what actually is reality, and then obviously it takes you on that kind of like journey as you're reading it. The book is formatted to draw you in that way. I think, and when I think about it like that, it's still not a 5-star read for me, but I actually think now in hindsight it's a 4-star. And I think it's going to be one of those books that my brain continues to puzzle over for a few weeks to come as I kind of like sift through everything that I've read and appreciate everything I've read. I think a lot of people have said like you should not kind of put a time frame on reading it, and you should read it quite slowly, and I think I've tried to get through it too quickly. And also there's like little elements such as there's a letter in the appendix at the back, and part of it's written in code, and you have to go through and decode it, and honestly this afternoon like I just could not be bothered, so I didn't do that. So I think in terms of that, like I've potentially missed out on a few little nuances, nothing like major, but still like little bits. And I think also there's like a few in the footnotes, a few of the sources do actually exist, and some people have gone and like looked up each of these sources as they're reading, and they've said that it's like helped them understand the book better. I didn't do that. So I think like I've detracted from the reading experience by not doing that, and maybe if I had done all of those things it would have been a 5-star read. But like I'm glad that I read it, and from watching those videos and realising that I haven't misunderstood it, and hearing people say that you should read it slowly and you should kind of do all those things, I'm now thinking that maybe like one day I would have to read it again. But like I just don't know if I could bring myself to. But yeah, it was a very, very interesting read. That's not a book for everybody, I think. And that sounds so egotistical. I don't mean because like I'm special or anything like that. I just mean like I feel like that is an acquired taste. And I don't think that everybody will vibe with it. I'm still not sure if I vibed with it. But I'm so glad that I've read it. I feel quite proud that I've got through it, especially considering the week I've just had as well. I think, you know, if I was perhaps in like a bit of a quieter week work-wise, I would have potentially maybe got more out of it too. But yeah, that was definitely a 4-star read at least, and yeah, my brain is I think is still kind of processing what I've just read. But I'm going to leave the vlog here. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you've read House of Leaves, let me know in the comments what you think about it. Let's try and keep the discussion spoiler free, just because I'm aware that obviously there'll be people perhaps watching this who haven't read it and want to read it. But yeah, like let's have a chat about it as much as we can in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. And as always, if you're new as well, please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Please ignore my terrible fake tan stain on my hand. Bye.